be with you. And the reason I do this work, I had just written a book called 1, 2, 3: The Toddler Years. I was known as an organizer and supporter of nonprofit organizations in my community in Santa Cruz, where I live. But in 1985, when my children were young, I had a group of young kids, and we took a walk in downtown Santa Cruz. And a man with a lot of problems got very triggered by the sight of a mom with 8 little kids. And he started to follow us, saying that I had all the cute little girls and he didn't have anybody. And I wasn't worried because I've done so much community work and because I'm used to people with problems. So I told the kids, if you're scared, hang on to me. And they all did. I crossed the street like an octopus with 8 little hands hanging on to me. And when we got to we were going to ride the bus, and we got to the Metro Center, suddenly this man started charging through the automatic opening doors with his arms stretched out, shouting, "I'm going to take one of these girls to be my bride." It was a classic case of the bystander effect because everybody there froze. It was full of people, that lobby. Everybody froze except for me. And I did what I bet you would have done, because if you know, anybody who cares about safety, and you wouldn't be here if you didn't care about safety, and the vulnerability of a young child, I put myself in between the man and the kids and I started yelling. And I then ordered a bystander, "Get over here and help me. Can't you see these kids are scared?" And when he came over, the man bothering us ran away. The kids were fine. I yelled, the bad guy ran, but I wasn't fine. I kept thinking, what if he knocked me down? What if he'd even touched one of those kids? And I knew I would do my best to stop him, but I didn't know how. So I took a self-defense class, which several of you have taken. It was called Model Mugging. It's called many other names now. And I actually worked with that organization for a while. And then I would keep meeting people who would tell me stories that started with the words, "if only." If only after my youth group leader dropped all the kids off except me and then touched me in a way that my mom and dad said never to let somebody touch me. If only I'd known how to stop him. If only I had known how to tell my parents what happened. My life would have been so much easier. And I realized that I couldn't, and then there was a series of abductions in the Bay Area. And I'd hear parents saying, "But I told her, and I told her, and I told her." I told him, they were both boys and girls were abducted, "Don't get close to a stranger." But when the stranger had their bicycle, then they followed the bicycle, and now they're gone. And I realized I couldn't be with my kids all the time. So being a community organizer, I researched, I gathered with martial artists and educators, and in 1989 we incorporated Kid Power as a nonprofit, and pretty soon people said, "But what about teens?" So that became Teen Power. And then, well, what about us as adults? And I thought, oh my, this organization name is going to keep growing. So we work with all ages, all abilities. And I'm so happy to be here with you. So we're going to cover boundaries, because what we teach, I like to call it people safety skills. Skills for preventing and solving problems with people. Now, if we were to call fire safety burning prevention, it would eliminate the idea that lots of things about fire are fun and useful. And the same thing with the skills for preventing and solving problems with people. It's not just about stopping bad stuff. It's about having better relationships that enrich our lives. So I'm going to show you most of this is going to be practice. The other thing is that in our organization, we're going to give you a little intro, but then we practice what we teach. It's not enough if we just showed kids videos, or adults too, about people safely crossing the street and said, okay, those are the rules, go do it, it wouldn't work. We want people to be able to feel in their bodies. When we rehearse with our bodies, it helps our minds remember what to do in real life. So we're going to rehearse with our bodies, And I'm going to ask you, even if it seems really silly, some of it, because we're rehearsing in the context of a very limited space here with the screen. But still, doing things with our body will help our minds remember. And after more than a year of teaching online, we're getting story after story about people doing it in the real world. So whether you have your screens on or not, I love it when I get to see people, but I also know people have a different level of comfort. And then Rebecca, I've asked her, just so that I'm not talking to myself the whole time, that she will also help model what we'd like you to do. And you can turn your sound on as long as there's not background noise when we do practice. So to start with, let me tell you that a lot of anxiety and a lot of times learning how to manage your emotional triggers is key. It's like I forget who said this about the mental preparedness and of personal security and safety and self-defense. And because when our mind is exploding with feelings, it's hard to think clearly. It's hard to make safe and wise choices for ourselves and for others. Our founding principle is that each person's safety and well-being are more important than anyone's embarrassment, inconvenience, or offense. And I imagine you'd agree with that. Safety and well-being on one hand, embarrassment, inconvenience, or offense on the other. However, obviously, one's much more important than the other. How many of you do not like to be embarrassed? Please raise your hands if you don't like to be embarrassed. How many of you don't like to embarrass most other people? We might have somebody in our life, sometimes a sibling, that we're okay to embarrass. How many of you don't like to be bothered when you're busy? Raise your hand. How many of you don't like to bother most other people? And how many of you do not like that feeling of people being angry at you? And how many of you do not like to be angry at other people yourself? So while it's true that safety and well-being of each person are more important than the embarrassment, inconvenience, offense, and fear of disappointing people, these are uncomfortable feelings that get in the way. So when we're setting boundaries, we have to set boundaries with ourselves and manage our own emotional triggers along with setting boundaries with other people. So I don't know about you, but the first feeling that I got over a year ago when things shut down was, oh no! And I've done this now lots of times. Just do this with me. Put your hands on your cheeks and go, say it aloud, oh no!
Oh
no! Okay, now take a breath and say, it's okay.
It's okay.
And then we have we call them safety signals, but they're actually gestures. There's a pressure point right here at the top of the heel of your palm. Push your hands together like this, your fingers in opposite directions. You don't have to hold it up high. I'm holding it up high so you can see it. Push your palms together. Straighten your back. Straighten your backs. Feel where your feet are. Take a breath and let it out again. So this is a very quick way of getting centered, of going from to, and I'll show you some other ways too, but that's one. People take this with them, and throughout the pandemic, I've been seeing people walking around like this. When I get to see people walking around, they see me and they go like this. They used to go like this for stop, but now they do this for calming down. Okay, so boundaries are lines, limits between one person and another. There's the boundaries. Everybody put your one hand up like this, and the other hand, this is the boundary pusher. And now if this hand is weak, it's going to get pushed. If this hand starts pushing back, you're going to get a fight. But what we want are strong boundaries that are upright. Now let's do this with our bodies. Now I'm going to stand up. You don't have to stand up, but I'm going to have to push. I'm in an interesting space. I have just moved here for 7 months near my grandkids. So I'm figuring out the space. But everybody, you can either sit or stand and put a hand in front, your hands in front, and say, stop. Go ahead.
Stop.
Do it sitting or standing. Stop. Good.
Stop.
Now,
Stop.
everybody lean back, get a weak and worried look on your face, fold your hands like this, and say, stop, okay?
Stop. Okay.
Stop. Okay.
Now, this is kind of called being a pushover. Now, lean the other way. Lean forward and say, get out of my face. Go ahead.
Get out
Get
of my face.
face.
Now, this can feel more powerful, but it's actually more dangerous because you're confronting the other person. It's like escalating the situation. A boundary is like a wall, and strong walls don't topple backwards and they don't push forwards. They're upright. Everybody put your hands up again and in a firm, calm voice say, please stop.
Please
Please stop.
stop.
Okay,
Stop.
excellent. So having that attitude of please stop. Now the other is that we want our body language. We want to be assertive rather than passive or aggressive. That's safer. We also want body language that is aware, calm, and confident. Right where you are, close your bodies down. Put your head down. And when you're worried, scared, sad, or tired, or honestly texting, your body closes down. And people are more likely to bother you and less likely to listen to you when your body's closed down. So now sit tall and turn and actually look at what's behind you. Turn your shoulders and look. When you're projecting an attitude of confidence, you are less likely to be bothered and more an awareness and more likely to be listened to. So if you feel your body closing down, or if you're out in public and you're texting, answering a text, or talking on your phone, realize that A, you're showing somebody something that valuable that they might steal, and B, I don't know which is A or B, but the other problem is that you're not aware. And just looking calmly, not like staring them down, but just letting somebody know, I know you're there. I'm aware. Makes you less likely to be bothered. A number of years ago, many years ago now, I was seeing my mom walking down the street, clutching her purse, and I just happened to be a few, like maybe 10 feet behind her. I was closing up the car, and I saw her, with her head down, with her purse on her side, and I saw a man kind of coming from the side. He didn't know she was with me, and just sneaking up on her. All I did was come and stand next to her, and he was gone. But if you walk in public with a purse, I recommend that you use a fanny pack instead of a purse on your. A lot of times people get injured when somebody grabs their purse. Now, if you're going to carry a shoulder bag, have things in it that you're willing to lose, because you are more important than your stuff. Just let it go, because somebody can pull. If you're holding onto your bag, they can use it to pull you down and knock you down, and that is less safe. So let's just imagine we've got our shoulder bag, and we see somebody and we let it go. Just let it go. Imagine that you've got a thing, not a person, but a thing precious to you. And somebody comes up to you on the street with a gun and says, give me your ring, or give me your wallet. Now that's hard, right? That's hard. But you are more important than your stuff. Just say, put your hands in front of you. Imagine a thing, not a person, precious to you. And say, take it, it's yours. Go ahead.
Take it, it's yours.
It's yours.
I was once in a senior power class and a woman said, I would never do that. Nobody's going to get away with taking something from me. And I said, well, what if he has a gun? And she said, I just used my purse and hit him with it. I said, what if your granddaughter's with you? And she looked at me and gave me a very indignant look and said, that's not fair. And I said, attackers are not fair. You're more important. So that mental attitude of, yes, did you have a question, Elaine?
Yeah, I was just wondering, should you, if someone comes up to you and wants your wallet, should you throw it? Like, so they have to, I heard that once.
If they have a gun and you don't want to startle somebody into shooting the gun. So you don't throw it towards them, but you might throw it to one side of the person so that they're turning away from you.
Yeah.
Don't throw anything right at somebody who's got a gun on you. You can say, or you can move slowly, drop it on the ground as you're backing away.
Mhm.
Depending on the space but you know, so if you feel like you can throw it to one side, throw it towards the side, but don't make sudden movements or just say what you're going to do. I'm going to give you my wallet, take it, it's yours, here it is.
Yeah.
On the ground. So some verbal, calm stuff. Try very hard not to walk out in public with things you're not willing to lose. If you
Yeah.
okay.
Mhm.
So I want to I want to work on voice because a lot of times people worry that their voices will freeze. People ever worry about that? And what I want is for each person to have a chance here. And so you'll have to unmute to practice this, just to yell, no! Go ahead, Rebecca. Yell no.
Oh,
Can you unmute and yell? Everybody all at once. Just unmute and yell. It's going to be very weird with the time thing, but all of us.
oops.
No.
Us.
Uh-oh, hold on 1 second. I think I muted.
Yeah, you muted everyone.
Ah,
Now we're on. Now we can unmute.
there you go. Sorry about that. Oh, hold on, Irene. Somehow I've lost. Where'd you go? I muted you by accident, Irene.
I'm unmuted.
There you
Okay.
go. Sorry about that.
You muted me too. Okay. Well, this is technology. It's wonderful when it works. So everybody from your belly, put your hand. If you can stand up, if you're comfortable standing up, go ahead and stand up. Put a hand on the belly like this. And from your belly, let me hear a big, loud no!
No.
Good. Everybody yell, stop!
Stop.
Stop.
Everybody yell, leave!
Leave.
Leave.
Everybody yell, help!
Help.
Oh,
Good. And everybody yell, everybody, I want you to, you would have your hands up in front of you now, because you want your hands up to protect yourself. And I wanted you to feel your belly, and now I want you all to yell, call 911! Go ahead.
call
Oh,
911.
And I'm suddenly realizing that if somebody, I am in a new place and I did not warn them that I was teaching a self-defense class. However, I'm not yelling as loudly as I can, and the soundproofing here is pretty good. So I think we're okay, but if we suddenly hear sirens, I will have to apologize. Okay. So being able to use your voice to yell for help. Everybody yell like I did in the Metro Center. Everybody yell, come and help me.
Come
and help me.
Everybody say, I'm being attacked.
I'm being attacked.
Good. So giving orders, simple, clear orders is essential to say.
So I'm just going to chime in. All that yelling brought my dog into the picture to come and help. So,
Oh, good. Dogs are wonderful. That's great. Okay. So being able to yell being able to move away from trouble. Put your hands up like this. Here again is this person who's being attacking. And maybe they're being verbally attacking or threatening. Now, we don't need to have the last word. It can be tempting if somebody's rude to say, don't you dare talk to me like that. Or, mind your manners or whatever. If somebody's being kind of drunk or just has irrational or threatening behavior, and you stay close to him or you come around the corner and there's that person, that is, you want to move away from trouble. You don't want to stay close to trouble. So here's the problem. I'll make that person a claw. And you move away. And you're going to move your bodies away. All of you, imagine you're walking away. Just walk away. Or if you use a wheelchair or a car, you can drive away. When you see trouble, leave if you can. Go into a store. And everywhere you go, think about where I would get help if I needed it. The place might be a place you wouldn't normally go into, such as a bar, if you're out in public. If that's what's open, in you go. And you interrupt a busy person and you ask for help. Rebecca, I'd like you to, I'm going to pretend to be an uncooperative person, and I want you to say, excuse me, I need help. And okay, go ahead. So I'm busy with other customers over here. Say, excuse me,
I need help.
I need help. Get to the end of the line.
No, really, I need help.
Say what the problem is, Rebecca. Say, there's somebody bothering people in the parking lot.
There's someone bothering people in the parking lot. We need help.
He's harmless. I don't want to get involved. Look, if you're not going to buy something, get out of my store. Say, I see you're busy, but I don't feel safe.
I see you're busy and I don't feel safe.
Well, what do you want me to do? Say, call security.
Call security.
You see how persistent, thank you, that was great. Being persistent in getting help. And it's hard. When somebody's being that rude, it's hard, isn't it?
Yes.
You might just say, well, and she did a good job of not getting angry at me. She was just persistent. She didn't give up. So imagine all of you are each by yourselves and say, and here I am, busy with my customers or busy doing inventory or something. You see a fight out in the parking lot, or somebody's following people to their car. You see an unsafe situation. Everybody, so I'm like busy, just excuse me. Blah, 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 blah. Say, excuse me.
Excuse me.
Excuse me, I need
help.
there's somebody causing problem.
Hey,
Parking lot, it's dangerous. Look, I don't want to get involved.
You need to get
no,
involved.
you have
To help.
to. I do.
Okay, what do you want me to do?
I want you
Call security or call 911.
And then you call 911. You stay in the store. You stay where there are people, even if somebody's really rude, because your safety is more important than this person's rudeness and offense, being annoyed, and more important than the embarrassment of having to do that. Your safety comes first. Okay? Any questions about that? Yeah, so being prepared. Same thing can happen when somebody comes to your door. A lot of times people open their door when it's not safe. So let's say that I come to your door and I've got flowers, all right? And I ring the doorbell. And now nowadays it's different because of COVID, but see, people still ring the doorbell, and I'm standing, you look out and you see somebody standing at the door. Everybody say, who is it?
Who is it?
Can you open the door? I've got to have you sign for this package.
No.
Good. Say leave it. Say put it down.
Put it down.
Put it down.
Leave it.
I can't leave it. I'm supposed to have somebody sign. It says so right here.
Sign it
Take it and leave.
Yeah, sign it yourself, leave. You could say leave your card and I'll get somebody to pick it up. Right? Make a
Yeah.
get somebody to pick it up.
Don't open the door.
Good. And you don't open the door unless it's somebody that you're expecting or that you know.
Then you open the door.
But otherwise, you know, and or sometimes it's kids.
Right.
My father, bless him, once my parents had a caregiver staying with him, but he opens the door to these two teen boys who are saying they want a glass of water, and he's about to invite them into their house, and the person that was staying with them said, "No, you can't come in the house, and you shouldn't be coming down here and asking for drinks of water." So sometimes people wanting to be helpful or wanting to collect money for a good cause or whatever it may be, they can leave their information or they can get a drink of water someplace else. So anyway, so good. So then the backup plan, and I decided to do self-defense first and boundaries second because I just felt that when I was listening to what people were saying they wanted. So the physical, so you want to avoid physical self-defense as much as you can because fights are dangerous. And if you can avoid a confrontation, it's safer. If you can leave, if you can stay calm and centered, give orders for bystanders or call for help or go into a store, that's safer than fighting. But if somebody grabs you, and if they're fighting over your property, we don't recommend that. Give up your stuff. But if somebody grabs you and their face is in your face, and there are many ways of doing this, but we teach it like this. Everybody, make your fingers like the beaks of a chicken. And imagine that the target is the eyes. You're not likely, I don't know of anybody that's ever been blinded when somebody uses this technique, but this is good because even if somebody's wearing glasses, it jams the glasses into their eyes. People are protective of their eyes. So your target is somebody's eyes. You're not I know you probably don't want to blind them. Some of you might not care, but you know, but the point is you jab like this, jab like this with some force. Let me see your chicken beats. Close your fingers up. You don't want to, I mean, you can do a poke if it's just their eyes, but this is kind of all purpose. And now everybody adds so that anybody seeing what's going on knows that you're defending yourself. You're not assaulting somebody. Everybody jab out and back and yell, "No!"
No, no,
Ready, go. No!
no,
Let me go.
Good. Everybody again, no!
No.
no.
Good. All right. Another technique. Take a breath, everybody. Anybody have questions as I'm doing this? I'm just going to go through some different physical skills. Then we'll go back to people we know. Lenore, did you have a question?
What are you getting to their eyes? You're trying to poke at their
Their eyes or their glasses. If you miss, don't worry. This hurts. People are protective of their eyes. We've done some studies of in real life when people did this technique. They didn't even get to hit the eyes because the person recoiled, and then they did another technique, which I'm going to show you, which is they kneed them in the groin, and that ended the fight. Okay? But often, if you jab towards somebody's eyes, I mean, don't hit your own eyes, but just move your hands towards your eyes, and you'll see that your natural reaction is to want to move back. Because we protect our eyes, right? So another technique is a heel palm. So everybody feel this is the heel of your palm. You know, boxers wear gloves to protect their own hands. There's a lot of small fingers right here. So we don't actually teach using a fist, but we teach this. Now there are many targets on somebody's face. Gently, please. Push up on your own nose. Push up under your chin. Push against it's whatever you can reach. Do it with each hand. You're pushing, you're basically using the hard part of your hand to push against soft tissue that's vulnerable. Okay? And you're going to do it. I'm not having you do it against yourself with force. I just want you to feel what the target is. Okay. So now, imagine the person is a little higher than you. I'm going to let you do it sitting, and then in a minute we'll get to some things for standing. But Imagine the person's face, throat is right there. And everybody hit up with like that with a loud no. Ready? Go.
No.
Again, ready? Go.
No.
Good. And and now I'm asking you to make sudden motions, and I'm realizing I want you to be safe in your space. So don't do something here. You can do it slowly. Don't do anything that hurts. And I think we're going to do it slow before we do it fast. Do it slow like this, hitting up. Now, if your body feels okay to hit up hard and suddenly, then go ahead and hit up hard and suddenly. You can actually feel it by putting your other hand. You can feel the impact. And this is an improvisation. I'd have a padded guy with me, or I'd have a kick pad with me, but we're improvising here, right? So you're hitting up into somebody's head or face, and you're adding your voice because your voice adds power, plus it communicates to people around you that you're in a dangerous situation. Another target, I'm not going to have you feel it. I'm going to do it sitting down first, and then we'll do it standing up. Do I see if there's a hand? You know what? All of you have permission because I sometimes miss hands up or anything in the chat, just to unmute and say, "Excuse me, Irene," because I sometimes miss people. All right. Imagine I'm going to show you. I'm not going to make you feel your own groin, of course, but between people's legs, girls, women, or men, there's a lot of soft, sensitive tissue, let's say. Okay? And so hitting into that, and you can do it if you can do it sitting down by doing a palm up. Everybody do a palm, hitting up. You can do it sitting down. Everybody go, no! Like that.
No.
No.
No! No!
No.
No.
No!
No.
Good. Now, if somebody doesn't have any clothes on and it's a man, then and their testicles are available to you, like in a sexual assault, then all right, pull this hand here, imagine what it is, and grab and squeeze. It doesn't take much pressure to make fingers hurt, and testicles are a lot more sensitive than fingers. When I do this with teen girls, they all universally, I say, so grab and squeeze. I don't tell them what they're squeezing first, and then I tell them, and they go, ew, like that. But we know if you're defending yourself, you have weapons. Your hands are a weapon, your teeth are a weapon, your knees, your elbows are all weapons, and they have targets, soft parts of their body that are vulnerable to being hurt, and you're hurting them so you can escape. You're not hurting them to be an awful person, right? So, because you are worth defending. So all of you, now, I'm going to let you stand up. Get the chair out of the way here. And I guess I have to. Okay, so your thigh is a powerful weapon. Just you can do it down too, but just feel with your hand the power of your thigh. We call it a knee strike, but actually it's a thigh strike. Okay? Now do that slowly. Don't hurt yourself. If you need to do this slowly, going through the motions slowly will still help you remember. And in real life, you'll be adrenalized. And if you pull a muscle, that so be it. Better to hit somebody than to not, right? But better to get away. But for here, I want you to stay safe while we practice. So now lift that thigh up, bring your leg up, and put it back down behind you. Make sure if you're standing that you're in balance. You can do this sitting also. Now, let's hear you imagine hitting something down here and hit it with a big, loud no. Ready, go! No!
No.
Good. Again,
No.
ready, go!
No.
Other side, change legs. Put your other leg back. Again, do it slowly.
No.
As you do it slowly so your body's safe, make sure you're in balance. And now do it with a big loud no. Ready? Go!
No.
And ready, go.
No.
Now, that heel palm. Let's do it standing. Make sure your feet are in balance before you do it. So your weapon, your tool, is the heel of your palm. The target is anywhere on this person's side of their head, anywhere. But you can crouch down a little bit because you can put your hips into it also. Keeping your feet on the ground, crouch down a little and hit up. Now do that with a big, loud no. Ready, go. No!
No.
And ready, go.
No.
Change sides. Do it slowly. Make sure you're in balance. Now do it with, now go ahead and hit with a big, loud no. Ready, go.
No.
And ready, go.
No.
Another weapon or tool you have are your elbows. And people can do this sitting down by hitting to the side, but suppose the person's behind you. So I want you to pull back with a low elbow towards the midsection to start with. Do it slowly. Make sure that, and you're hitting towards anywhere that your low elbow can reach. And now do this pulling back with a big, loud no. Ready, reach forward, and elbow, go.
No.
Again, ready, go. No.
No.
Other side. Again, make sure your feet are in balance. Do it slowly. Now, I'm looking at the screen, but actually, I realize this. You should be looking behind you towards your target because it'll help you turn and reach your target. So now do this. One hand's up in case the person knocks you down, for example. You have your hand to protect your face. The other hand is you're going to turn and look towards the target, which is behind you, with a big, loud no. Ready, go. No.
No.
And ready, go.
No.
Since I didn't look back myself, then do this looking back on the other side. Now, ready,
No.
go. No.
No.
And no.
No.
My elbow, I want you to be careful because shoulder problems, if you can't hit, you might be able to hit up higher, you might not. But try gently, move your elbow up and see if you can hit with it. Don't hurt yourself. If you need to do it a little lower, you do it lower. If you can bring your elbow up by your ear and turn your body, then go ahead and do that. Now reach like you're pulling something and pull like this. Pull with a loud no. Ready, go! No!
No.
Ready, go! No!
No.
Other side. Elbow up by your ear. If you can, do it safely. Don't hurt yourself. Now, go ahead and do it with a loud yell. Ready, go!
No.
And go! No!
No.
And those, now everybody walk, don't run. Walk in place and yell, I need help! Go.
I need help.
I need help.
You're going to safety. Usually, one strong move stops most attacks. Now, I do want to cover something about bullying, but you kind of all inspired me with the physical self-defense. Any questions? So we're going to move to people we know where we're not going to hit them, but we are still going to set our boundaries and protect ourselves, our time, our space, our feelings. But first of all, there are thousands of techniques. These are a few that can be taught and learned in a very short time. And often just knowing you can gives you the confidence to leave or to give orders or to get help. Just knowing you've got these tools in your body.
I just want to add, Irene, that I know that as women and girls, we're taught not to use our voice. And it's helpful even just to practice in the comfort of your home, yelling so it becomes more natural.
Right.
Right. Well, when I started, even though I yelled to protect my children and the children in my care, when we started, I couldn't yell. Just
Yeah.
then I practiced in the shower, driving, and now I can yell no anytime I want. But it took practice. So do practice. If you start imagining yourself in a bad situation, be safe in your imagination. Think about taking charge of it, preventing it, leaving, getting help, or defending yourself physically. So, visualizing, just like athletes do, they visualize before an event. They practice but physically, but they also visualize winning. They do not visualize losing. We want you to visualize winning because you're worth it. Okay. So, any other questions, comments on physical? And otherwise, I'm going to go over and share my screen. So, one of my favorite stories is about and I was in a senior center, and this woman said, "I'm 94 years old, and this is the first time anyone has taught me about boundaries." And I'm so glad I'm learning it now. And I was glad too, but I also know that children often, I've heard stories of kids taking our Kid Power classes and then teaching the skills to their grandparents. And so I wanted to just share that picture with you of about boundaries powers. And so boundaries are limits. And when we have some full power, like a checklist about and safety rules about boundaries, and this is for all ages, abilities, and walks of life. So
Yes.
this is boundary principles for all ages. We each belong to ourselves. Just point your thumbs to your chest. Again, gestures help you remember. You belong to you and I belong to me. And it's not just our bodies, but our time, our feelings. I have so many people who have told me that they ended up in the hospital for some procedure and they had a heck of a time getting out again. And remembering that we belong to ourselves and that we have rights is important in being able to set boundaries. The reality is that some things are not a choice. Go like this and say, oh, well.
Well,
Oh, well.
Things are not a choice. But we have the right, if we're doing something that's cruel to somebody else, we're likely to face consequences. If we're being unsafe with ourselves, say we're driving in a really unsafe way, we might have to either get classes or stop driving. Um, Another is that, so that's everybody say some things are not a choice. Go ahead.
some things are
Some
not
things
a
are not a
choice.
choice.
And then problems should not be secrets. And the gesture is putting your finger in front of your mouth, shaking your head, and say, moving your hand away. Say, everybody say, problems should not be secrets.
Problems
Problems should
should
not be
not be
secret.
secrets.
Touch should not be a secret.
Touch
Should
should
not be
not
a
be a
secret.
secret.
Gifts someone gives you should not be a secret.
Gifts
Gifts
someone
someone
gives you
gives you should
should
not be
not be a
secret.
secret.
And then to tell and keep telling. So this is just two people. To tell and keep telling until you get help. So that if, say, you have somebody, if you are once I was in a hospital and I could not get, and I wanted to get out, and I had to have an MRI before I could get out, and they kept postponing the MRI. And so I told everybody, I told the spiritual counselor, I told the head nurse. I had laryngitis, which had nothing to do with why I was in the hospital. But and finally, and I told the head nurse, I said, I want to go home. I don't want to stay here another night. I have the right to leave. She said, we want an MRI. I said, then get me the MRI as you promised. I want to leave. And she said, I have no power. And I'm looking at this head nurse standing over me and I'm whispering because I have laryngitis and thinking, you think you have no power, but I thought she doesn't, if people don't believe they have power, then they don't have power. And I said, I whispered, do you have the power to ask? And she said, yes, I do. And she went and she asked, and I said, it's wasteful for everybody for me to spend a night here again when I don't need to. And the person, the spiritual counselor who had helped me get the nurse to come and talk to me, said, because she said, what can I do to help? I said, right now, I want to talk to somebody who has the authority to help me. It's that persistence. Don't give up. Keep telling till you get help. You have that right. And when she said, so who are you anyway? What do you do when you're not being in a hospital? And I said, well, I do teach people to advocate for themselves. So being able to set boundaries, though, if you get angry, if you start yelling, all people hear is your anger. And it's normal to get angry. It's really normal. However, it's like just imagine you've got a can of soda. Everybody shake your hand like a can of soda. Shake, shake it, shake it. And when you open it up, it makes a mess. And that happens when we don't speak up sooner rather than later. It's like shaking that can of soda. And suddenly we're feeling really upset. And when we're upset, we express ourselves in ways we wish we wouldn't. So using your calm down power, and then and being proactive, lead with a bridge. Let me show you something. Actually, I'm going to show you a video, and I think I can do this. Share the screen. Yes, I'm going to show you a video about a conflict where Jared, oops, where did he go? All right, here. Okay. So what you should see is a kitchen. Do you see a large kitchen?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So, and so this is Jared and MJ. They're two of our instructors in North Carolina. Uh-oh. What's happening here? I'm sorry. Let me try this again. You know what? Sometimes technology doesn't work. It's just not working. I don't know why, because it worked yesterday, but I'm going to let this video go, and I'm going to, let me see if this one works now.
What's the arrows?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, well. You know what? We're having a little malfunction here. Basically, Jared is yelling and yelling at MJ. MJ is yelling at Jared because he didn't take out the trash. He uses his calm down power. He goes to the trash can and he protects his feelings. She's calling him lazy, and he throws away. Everybody, imagine that this is a trash can. Put your hand on your hip like this. When somebody says something really mean to you, like you're stupid, you're lazy, everybody catch the words. Doing it with your body helps you remember to protect your feelings with your mind. You won't walk out in the world like this, but catch those words: stupid, lazy, ugly, too old. Throw them away. Imagine it's a trash can. Now put your hand on your heart and say, I am proud of who I am.
I am proud of who I am.
Imagine that somebody said, how could you make such a stupid mistake? Everybody catch those words, throw them in the trash, put your hand on your heart, and say mistakes are part of learning.
Mistakes are part of learning.
How many people here make the same mistakes over and over again? I do. All right. I do. So throw those words. You can use a one-handed trash can. Just throw the words, I did it again, what's wrong with me, away. Now put your hand on your heart and say, I do not have to be perfect to be great. Go
I
ahead.
do not have to be perfect to be great.
Wonderful. And so mean things other people say, or you say to yourself, how many people here, you can throw the words away. We have different emotional safety techniques, and I will send you a list of these. Another is to just say, make a fence with your hands like this and say, that's not true.
That's not true.
So Suppose I take something that is true and connect it to something that's not true. Suppose I say, you're useless because you're old. Everybody say, that's not true.
That's
That
not
is not true.
Suppose I say, you're ugly because you don't look the same as a fashion magazine. Everybody say, that's not true.
That's not true.
So we have with kids, I teach them, baby, because you cry, and even 3-year-olds will belt out, that's not true. I'm not a baby, even if I cry. So being able to do something with those emotional triggers, mean words, gestures, looks, is a way of protecting yourself and calming yourself down so you can set boundaries. Now, I am going to see if this video will work, and if it doesn't, I'm not going to spend a lot of time, but I just would love to show you. This is an emotional raincoat that Marilyn is using. Do you see a nice a woman facing a man? These are our Montreal people,
Yes.
and I do not know why. Okay, let's see if this works. All right. I'm gonna, you know what? I have changed location and
arrows.
I had not realized that it was going to affect the videos. It's not affecting other things, but has affected the videos. I'm going to have to get technical support. I will send you, but what she's doing, I'll just show you. It's emotional raincoat. If we go out into bad weather without protective gear on, then we will get cold and wet. And sometimes you have to go into stormy emotional weather where somebody's yelling at you. It might be a grandkid, it might be a child. Maybe they're saying, yelling at you, don't do anything I say, what's wrong with you? Or sometimes they're being pressuring you to borrow money and they get angry. If somebody's going at you, blah, 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 you always blah, blah. Imagine a raincoat and say, you can put your fence up, go ahead and put your wall up, and say calming things. So first imagine being the storm. Everybody go, blah, 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 blah. Go ahead.
Blah, 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 blah.
You always blah, blah.
You always blah, blah.
Never blah, blah.
You never blah, blah.
It doesn't sound familiar. Yeah. So now everybody say, I'm sorry I upset you.
Sorry I upset you.
I care about you.
I care about you.
We can agree to disagree.
We can agree to disagree.
Let's talk later.
Let's talk later.
And then walk your feet like you're moving away. Okay. So being able to stay calm instead of, because when somebody becomes a storm, your immediate reaction is to react to all the things they're saying or doing, and that makes things less safe. It's less safe for your relationship, even if it's not physically less safe. It can also be escalating into violence, but usually it harms relationships. We have to be strategic and protect ourselves, our own spirits, while we're setting boundaries with the outside in a way that is not escalating. Now, I see that I'm at 1 o'clock. I'd like to go just a few minutes over. Is that okay with people? Okay. Because I want to go through our model for setting boundaries is we lead with a bridge. We don't always say, if we start out with, I want you to change this. If somebody says one negative thing to you and one positive thing, what are you more likely to remember? The negative.
Negative.
If somebody uses the word but, even if you say something together, it's likely to cut it off. So we do a boundary with an and. So for example, everybody, imagine that somebody is always taking things, borrowing things from you without asking. I'll just take an example that often happens. Let's say somebody keeps taking things from you. Everybody say, I know you want, or, I'm going to take even something that happens more often. People keep giving you unwanted advice. Who here keeps getting unwanted advice? Okay, so everybody lead with your bridge. Everybody say, I understand that you care about me. Everyone say that.
I understand that you care about me.
And
And
I feel uncomfortable when you keep giving me advice that you've told me before.
I feel uncomfortable when you keep giving me advice that you've given to me before.
Let's please talk about something else.
Let's please talk about something else.
And this is something that comes up again and again in situations where people, mean the best and they keep on going. Now, how many of you do not like being told what to do? Raise your hand. Don't like being told. Goodness. How many of you don't like being told that you did something that somebody didn't like? I don't like it when people are unhappy with me. So be prepared for negative reactions to boundaries. Be pleasantly surprised when you say it in the nicest way possible. You say, Irene, I know you mean the best, and I feel uncomfortable or I'm frustrated when you keep giving me advice I haven't asked for. Let's talk about something else. And I say, I just want the best for you. I just care about you. I'm just, and anyway, you're not listening to my advice, and you need to, you have to. Remember, you belong to yourself, right? So you say, everybody say, you acknowledge the person's feelings. I understand you're worried. Everybody say that.
I understand you're worried.
And I've heard your advice, and
I've heard your
Heard your
advice.
advice.
I appreciate your caring,
And I appreciate your caring.
and I don't want to talk about this anymore.
And I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Whoa.
We're all smiling as I think we've all been in these situations.
Right. Now, people don't always listen, and they sometimes get their feelings hurt, and they say, This hurts my feelings. You say, I don't mean to hurt your feelings. Go ahead.
I don't mean to hurt your feelings.
I just want to talk about something else.
Just want to talk about something else.
And if they still don't listen, you might need to give them an or else. Or else, talking to them on the phone, you say, or else I'll call you later. Or if you want to, you can, suppose the advice is about your health. Then you can say, I'll talk about it with my doctor, and I don't want to talk about it with you. And you can choose whether or not you talk to your doctor. That's your choice. But everybody say, if I say, it's about your health, you have to listen to me. Say, I'll talk with my doctor.
I will talk with my doctor.
I don't want to talk about it anymore with you.
I don't want to talk about it anymore with you.
Don't you love me? Say, I love you, and let's talk about, you see, you have to persist in getting help, and you have to persist in setting boundaries. And sometimes with a loved one, the or else is to say or else, but you don't want to cut off the relationship.
No.
You could time it. You can just let them wind down. Again, you can be strategic. You can say, and time. They can't keep going forever. Okay, so this time it's 5 minutes that I get advice from my daughter that I really don't want and that she would be outraged if I gave her. And okay, now the next time it's 10 minutes. Oh, now it's 15 minutes, but now she's tired of talking. So, and be prepared with changing the subject in the middle. Say, how are things going with you? So I'm saying, I'm so worried. everybody interrupt me and say, I want to hear how you're doing. All right? All right. So I'm going, blah, I'm so worried. I'm so worried. Just say, Irene. Call out my name.
Irene,
Irene,
I really want to know how you're doing.
So find ways to change the subject so you can keep the connection, but don't let them rule your time. Now, there's always more to learn. I will stay for questions. I'm happy to come back and do another thing on boundaries, more on boundaries, because I got very caught up in self-defense. But we added, we often are in difficult conversations that people want. But I'm also happy we answer questions by email all the time. It's safety@kidpower.org.
I tend to use my voice too much. I get overexcited and I don't have a calming way if something isn't going my way. Through frustration, I yell. I have to go the other way.
Well, one of the things we teach people and of all ages, this way we have a whole bunch of skills, is everybody squeeze your lips together like this. And my joke is that my husband and I, we've been married 46 years now. We don't argue anymore. We just do this. Only that were true. But Lenore, we've got a whole article, and if I forget to send this to you, Rebecca, you can share them with people about triggers, emotional triggers that cause us to explode with feelings. Often people explode, they can explode inwardly and go ouch, or they can explode outwardly and go like hey and start yelling. Knowing what your triggers are can help you to manage them, and figuring that out ahead of time, like saying, when are the times I got so upset and what do I wish I'd done instead? And then practicing, as Diane said, practicing how to imagine that person, calling you something really mean. And imagine protecting your feelings and staying calm can help. Taking the power out of the words by writing them down and or saying the words um, uh, you know with teens we call it the bitch pizza exercise. Imagine I can be in front of I get permission from the school administration. I have them all, they'll never get permission like this again. They all yell a word like bitch, and then they all yell their favorite food, which 9 times out of 10 is pizza. You do that a few times and it takes the power out of those words. Or the trigger might be somebody trying to pressure you to give them money. And so saying in your head, saying poor thing instead of selfish, greedy thing can help you to stay in, and you don't have to take care of them. The trigger can be, I want to take care of this person. Anyway, there are many triggers, and again, I've got an article about triggers, and if you don't know how to take the power out of them, I'd be glad to share some ideas, and you can email. Yeah. And remember, it takes practice, and it also takes persistence, and not taking things personally. Everybody make a heart like this with your hands and look through the heart. And if we can imagine eyes of love, looking at people with eyes of love, it doesn't mean we do what they want. It doesn't mean we don't set boundaries, but we can look at them with compassion instead of rage.